What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we are going to look at Gyarados as a lead in the Ultra League of Go Battle League. I recently had a comment on one of my YouTube videos from Corpod asking to see more Gyarados in the Ultra League, so that's exactly what they are going to get. If there's something that you want to see, definitely leave a comment down below and let me know, and I'll see if I can accommodate you. And for those that don't know, I previously used Gyarados in my Testing the Waters Ultra League team, where I played a team of all water-type Pokemon, and Gyarados really performed there as a safe switch Pokemon. I switched into it a lot when my Lapras lead wasn't quite right, and with just a small energy lead, Gyarados was able to conquer a lot more matchups. But a good safe switch Pokemon is also generally a pretty good leading Pokemon too, just because it has those coverage moves in the bad matchups, and I just think Gyarados is at a really good point right now in the Ultra League. It's decent against Registeel, Giratina, and Swampert, the kind of core three of the Ultra League, and it also handles a few other common leading Pokemon quite well. So I wanted to try Gyarados out as a lead, and I'm not going to be using the same mono water type team for this video. I really only like Lapras as a leading Pokemon, but we're going to go with Gyarados as our lead, and then the Swampert Registeel core in the back to basically be able to answer the rest of the meta for the most part. The other thing that I want to bring up before we jump into these games is Ancient Power. And Ancient Power was really good against my Testing the Waters team because it was good against Lapras and Gyarados, my two counters to Giratina. So right as I was about to record this video, Ancient Power actually got a big nerf, which is a huge buff for Gyarados. So definitely Gyarados has gotten some huge stock from that update. One of the main ways that people will answer Gyarados is the Ancient Power. So now there's not much that threatens him from a super effective standpoint. There's some grass Pokemon that are still good. There is Melmetal, but really not too much is going to be threatening Gyarados, which just makes him an even better leading Pokemon. Hey guys, NoLucksGiven here from the future, and I just wanted to do a quick update. I've been playing this same team since the Ancient Power nerf, and it's been doing really well. I actually just hit rank 9 right before I uploaded this video here. So definitely subscribe if you want to see more of this same team in action. I'm going to grind it out, see if I can potentially get close to or hit rank 10 with this same team too, but it's really good. Yeah, the fact that Ancient Power is now off of Giratina just means that there is a lot less that threatens you. There's going to be some other metagame shakeups, I'm sure, in the Ultra League, but for right now, Gyarados is really good. All right, back to the video. Let's jump into the games here now. We are up against Mayak U, and we see a Swampert lead against Gyarados. That's one of the reasons that we're running Gyarados. None of Swampert's moves, well, they all hit us for not very effective there. The Hydro Cannon, the Earthquake, and the Mud Shot. So we're going to fire some crunches off on Swampert, and they are going to shield those. And we will just be able to take some Hydro Cannons here, and I'm going to go ahead and shield this last Hydro Cannon and then farm down the Swampert just a little bit more before firing off my Crunch. Then when my opponent brings in Giratina to finish me off, I'm actually going to get another shield off of them. So I've now taken, a third of Giratina's life points, and I'm up a shield, so I'm in a pretty good spot in this first matchup here. When they switch into Snorlax, we have the energy lead, so we can just fire off a Focus Blast right away, and they don't have any shields. All we have to do is shield the Earthquake, and since I'm about to kill them, they can't really bait here, so that's the Earthquake. I shield that, we fire off a Flash Cannon, and now we are Registeel versus Giratina, and that's all she wrote. So this is a pretty simple one from here on out, unless they get like a double Ancient Power boost, which they stopped even going for. we are going to be able to win this one pretty handedly here. So yeah, that's a pretty good example of how you can use this team and why Gyarados is such a good leading Pokemon. It has some of the same winning matchups that Swampert does. It's a little bit weaker to, well, I won't spoil the next game here, but it's got similar matchups to Swampert while beating Swampert in the heads up. So this was one of those worst matchups that I was talking about here, as we are up against Clefable. I can't really threaten Clefable with my crunches, so I go ahead and build towards a Hydro Pump, but then just bait with the crunches anyways, which is at least enough to get a shield off my crunch, and then I fire a little bit more chip damage before I just die to Charm. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Registeel now. Luckily, both of our other Pokemon are pretty fantastic against Registeel. They fire off a Psychic before leaving the battle, which is definitely not the right move. I'm going to bait with a Flash Cannon here, which gets the shield, and I will have to shield the Poliwrath's Dynamic Punches here, but they are out of shield, so I'm going to go for a Focus Blast. And then I believe, yeah, I'm going to switch into Swampert. Now, they were actually shield baiting here too, because they throw an Ice Punch and I just shake it off with Swampert. They're going to keep throwing Ice Punches though, and this team actually struggles pretty hard against Poliwrath. They switch into Clefable just to waste my energy, I suppose, but I was happy to make that trade regardless there. And I am going to shield the Dynamic Punch. So because the Dynamic Punch deals so much damage to Swampert as a neutral move, Ice Punch deals good damage to it as a neutral move. Poliwrath is a pretty good Pokemon against this team. However, you'll normally see Poliwrath as a leading Pokemon, which is another Pokemon that Gyarados is decent against. At least it doesn't care about Dynamic Punch. It will take neutral damage from the Ice Punches. But the fact that Gyarados is our best Poliwrath answer means it's another good reason to have that in the front. Normally they will switch out of the Poliwrath, which then lets me switch into something else, and then I'm able to catch the Poliwrath later on. I'm not sure if that comes up in any of these videos here, so sorry if that is a spoiler. But yeah, just know that this team does struggle a little bit against Fighting-type Pokemon, which are having a resurgence, but Fighting-type Pokemon are typically leading Pokemon, and Gyarados is Flying-type. So this video has already started here, and there are some interesting things that I can say about Snorlax as a safe switch. One of the reasons we were able to beat Snorlax before was because we exhausted their shields, and then we were able to have an energy lead already with Registeel. Unfortunately, and I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this, but unfortunately, we just get a ton of lag in this video, and by the time I am out of the lag, my opponent Swampert has 100 energy, and they've taken out all of my Registeel with just Mudshot. So this wasn't really too much of a game here. We did win the lead matchup, and then my opponent switched into Snorlax, so I probably would have switched into Registeel there like I did, and just try to shield the Earthquakes, try to figure out what's bait, what's not, and hit it with Focus Blast, hit it with my own baits as well. But unfortunately, we didn't get to see that as a matchup. We just had a whole bunch of lag, and that was really all she wrote. And then at the end, I brought in my Swampert again and got even more lag. So this was one of the most laggy games I've ever had in the Go Battle League. I normally am able to dodge lag for the most part, which is lucky, I know, but my opponent kills us with 3 Pokemon and a shield there. So obviously this was just kind of a non-game. I still wanted to show it, both for documentation purposes, to show yeah, lag can be this bad sometimes, but also just because the rest of these games in this set of 10 was so good that I wanted to include it here still. So for round 4, we're up against Agasivero, and we have a Gyarados against a Swampert lead yet again, so we win that. They switch to Registeel, we switch to Swampert, and I do want to shield the Focus Blast, but I thought it might be a bait there with the fact that we both have so many shields left over. So I'm going to bait with Hydro Cannon. And when my Hydro Cannon bait turns out to hit, then I just go for another Hydro Cannon. So that's how I like to play this matchup. I am going to shield here, and we do catch the second Focus Blast, so that's pretty good. I farm them down for a little bit before firing out a Hydro Cannon, and that kills them. So we're up a Pokemon and up down a shield, rather, and then we Hydro Cannon. I didn't even know what it was, but we Hydro Cannon a Shiftry, and I'm going to double Hydro Cannon it as the Shiftry tries to farm us with Snarl, which is kind of a weird move from the Shiftry there, but I'm going to go ahead and back out, take some foul plays onto my Swampert and then onto my Registeel, and when they switch to Swampert, I throw out a Focus Blast, and I will shield this presumptive Earthquake here, and I get it, which is pretty good, and then from there, I can kill them with a Flash Cannon, which I think they'll shield. Yes, they do shield that Flash Cannon there, and do they have enough for another Earthquake? They do. So I'm going to go into Gyarados, and I'm going to farm down their Swampert, and now I've got a full health Gyarados. I am going to take some Leaf Blades here because they have dealt so much, they've farmed so much energy, but we're going to CMP tie with a Crunch, lose the CMP tie, and then I'm able to get another Crunch before they get another Leaf Blade because they use that Dark Pulse against the Registeel. So pretty decent matchup. Was not expecting the Shiftry, but we were able to pull it together. Now we're up against Feraligatr, and they're firing a bunch of ice moves against us, and I don't think we have to really be too threatened by Feraligatr here. Probably as Crunch, and then it's Community Day move, so we are just trading Crunches here, but my Dragon Tails deal a lot of damage to the point where I've got a spare Crunch, and so I've won the lead, and now I get an additional shield out of my opponent, and then I just go into the Registeel. And my opponent has seen that matchup enough times to know that that's a win for us. So that's going to be a 4-1 on our first set here. Yeah, Registeel is just so good against Tina in the back, so that's a win. On to our second set of battles here. We are up against Kupopone, and we see a Poliwrath lead. Like I said, Poliwrath is most often going to be a leading Pokemon. They switch to Giratina, we switch to Registeel. Registeel is our main Giratina counter, and also Registeel is our worst Pokemon against Poliwrath. So we get to get Registeel out of here. They're possibly going to try to switch to Poliwrath when the switch timer's up, so that is something to be aware of. But I want to preserve my Gyarados so that it can defeat that Poliwrath because that is my best chance against it. So we are not shielding here. They switch to Swampert, and we switch to Gyarados. So they do get us here. I really thought they were going to go back into the Poliwrath, but that's fine. Gyarados also beats Swampert and can beat it with basically a shield advantage here, as it gives me a Crunch to use on the next Pokemon. So we'll be crunching, and they're actually just going to let their Swampert go down. I am going to shield here. I guess they shielded the first Crunch, right? So we shield here, and then we throw a Crunch off at the Poliwrath, but we do have to be a little bit careful here, and they're not throwing their Ice Punch for a while here. They farm me down, and I maybe should have shielded, but Crunch doesn't really affect Gyarados that much. I am able to shield the Dynamic Punch, so now we're even on energy, but I don't have the shields. So we're going to throw out some Hydro Cannons. I'm waiting for a switch, but they just decide to concede, so writing was on the wall. Both of their Pokemon didn't have much health left. If they switch, then I'm going to switch to Registeel, so they saw that was enough for them. Game 2, Match 2, we're up against Rukamankui, and it is another Poliwrath leadoff. So Gyarados, as you'll be able to see, doesn't really answer Poliwrath that well because it does take neutral damage from these ice punches here, just like Swampert would, but it totally does resist the dynamic punch. So what I do is I build up to Hydro Pump and then just fire a Crunch, hoping that my opponent will shield, but both would be not very effective. So it's not a huge difference here. We're going to fire some more crunches off, and they're going to continue to not shield. So I win the zero shield matchup, and that's about all you can ask for your leading Pokemon against a pretty common lead there. We win the zero shield, then we deal about half of Snorlax's health. Now, Snorlax does have a significant energy lead on us, so I do want to be wary of an Earthquake, but it's just body slams from here. They switch and we lose our energy, which is kind of unfortunate. But now that they are a Giratina, we will be able to Registeel them. And they have a bunch of shields. So they are going to be able to double shield this Registeel here and then switch back into Swampert and probably try to Earthquake us, I think would be the plan, unless they get some type of boost here. So I'm just trying to keep my energy as full as possible at all times, especially as that switch timer comes up here. I want to be able to Focus Blast Snorlax as soon as it comes into play. My opponent is probably going to look for an opportunity like right now, right after I Flash Cannon, but instead they don't. They just continue to use their moves. So another Dragon Claw. I'm still just building energy, and I decide to shield here because I thought for sure they were going to switch at some point and not eat a Flash Cannon, but they do. They value their Snorlax more, and that's not the craziest thing to do here. So now I am Swampert against a Snorlax, but I have more shields. They do the Earthquake here, and I hit the Earthquake with 0 seconds left on the timer. So I actually totally could have lost that one because I was keeping my shield as too precious there, afraid of a bait. But we actually do get the win. So that was a very, very close matchup and a super sweet one. I win with a shield, so it's hard to call it a close matchup, but it really was. I mean, if I was just a millisecond behind with hitting that Earthquake, I would have lost because I would have had less HP than my opponent, and tiebreakers don't look at shields, so I was definitely sweating that one. For match 3 here, we are up against La Mamba Negra 7, and it is Gyarados against an Alolan Muck. Now, this is one of the reasons that I like Gyarados as a lead instead of Giratina. All of these people are going to be playing Giratina counters as their leading Pokemon, so we just play a pseudo-Giratina, pseudo-Swampert that is better against the supposed counters. So we do land that Hydro Cannon there, or Hydro Pump, sorry, and then switch into Registeel, or go into Registeel. They switch into Venusaur, and that is great for us. I'm going to say, okay, great. Let's do Venusaur against Registeel, and Swampert is great against Togekiss in the back. So that was a pretty tough decision for me that I had to make. Do I want to bring in the Registeel against the Togekiss, or do I want to bring in the Swampert? And if either way, it would have worked out about the same. When they switched to Venusaur, I would have just switched to Registeel. But the fact that it worked out like this was pretty good. Yeah, not too much more to say after that. Swampert doesn't care about any of Togekiss's charge moves, so I'm just able to do a bunch of Hydro Cannons here, and they are going to shield these Hydro Cannons, and even though they do kill me, I actually still have a shield in case they had Flamethrower, but they go for the Ancient Power, try to get the boost, and then I just Flash Cannon the Togekiss away. For our fourth matchup here, we are up against Polyps89, and they have a Lapras to my Gyarados, and we are both doing neutral moves here. So this one can really go either way. You see my Crunch doesn't really deal that much damage though, just because Lapras is so bulky. Now they go for a Surf, and I was expecting it. I was expecting the bait, but that one's an Ice Beam. So I definitely should have shielded that Ice Beam there. Maybe I just wanted to get Gyarados out of there. And then we have a little bit of lag, but I don't think it was super impactful there. And now they are going to fire some Surfs up on my Registeel. I'm just going to fire neutral Flash Cannons. Yeah, that's enough damage to take it down. And they go into Giratina. I don't know what they're thinking there. Registeel definitely wins this one, even at a shield disadvantage. As we've seen, they're going to try to get the Ancient Power buff. It's their only chance. But now I'm thinking, okay, their Pokemon in the back is probably something that loses even harder to Registeel. If it's a Venusaur, we're boned. But if it is a Togekiss, then we are in a pretty good position here. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of my shields because I'm thinking I won't really have to shield against Togekiss. But we will let the Giratina take me down, and then I throw out Swampert against Giratina here. And that takes Giratina out, and it is a Fairy-type Pokemon. It is a Clefable, so we should win this one. My opponent does have a shield left over, but I'm going to be able to shield whatever they do, which means they're not even going to fire their fast move here, and I get my Hydro Cannon with just the smallest sliver of health remaining. We take it down, and we are on to Game 5 versus Twick IV. So Gyarados versus Giratina, and again, this was before the Ancient Power nerf. So I am going to have to shield these Ancient Powers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shield the first one, and then I believe I try to catch the second one on my Swampert, and I do. So I switch right into Swampert right as the Ancient Power comes out. Not very effective. Forces a switch from them, and now I am Swampert Ditto with an energy advantage, which should be pretty good. We're tied at one shield a pop, and the energy advantage should let me squeak out a win here. They get to the second Hydro Cannon faster and win the CMP tie. So they were, I just wasn't paying attention to my energy, but we take them down. They decide to hang onto their shield, and I just throw out my Hydro Cannons here. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make it to Earthquake, and turns out they were going to Dragon Claw. So they Dragon Claw, finish out my Swampert. I bring in Giratina to finish them off, and now they have one Pokemon plus a shield, and they don't even know about my Registeel in the back yet. So I'm going to switch to Registeel and eat this Dark Pulse off that, and that is basically all she wrote. They'll be able to fire a few other Dark Pulses off on us, but we will be able to win the matchup here. So that is a 5-0 with Gyarados as a lead, Registeel, Swampert in the back, a total of 9-1, with that one having a small asterisk on it, obviously, because that was only due to lag. I think we were even in a decent position in that matchup. So I'm able to get a Landorus here, which is my first Landorus. I think I got like a Skarmory off the first set or something. But that's going to be it, guys. For me, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment down below to let me know what you want to see. As I showed, I do read all those comments and look for some future inspiration out of that. Got some more cool videos in the works, so definitely subscribe if you want to see those as well, and leave a like to let me know if you enjoyed the video. That's going to be it for me today, guys. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.